annex because we've got the ability to give them stuff that they need.
And the other thing too, again, there's the publication fees, there's when somebody annexes, we have to go through the process of redoing the village boundaries. So Lee's office has to go through the process of recreating a meets and bounds description to redo the village's corporate municipal boundaries and get that recorded and documented. So there is a lot of work, even for a simple annexation. You know, we're in the process of going through this with Pelican Drive, that little strip of land, the half of the road that we're going to annex. It's going to cost us a lot of money to do that. The size of the property isn't necessarily indicative of the cost that the staff faces, because you've got so many legal requirements to get through. It's got to be noticed, it's got to be published, you've got to have exact legal descriptions. It goes to the state for a state review. And then it all gets recorded with the Register of Deeds office. So there's a lot of documentations, even for a simple annexation.
So what was your recommended fee?
2,500.
2,500.
Okay, let's do it.
We're not making any money with it. We're gaining by the annexation, but
Probably still losing money.
yeah.
Could potentially be. Yeah.
I'd say
But
that.
on average, I think it'll get you close to breaking even.
Go with 3,000.
By the same token, you don't want to scare somebody away either.
2750.
Well, I don't want to sit and have to go through our budget like we had to this first year for me, where we say these two guys operate, you got to cut it. And I know we're not going to make up the big dollars, I get that. So, I'm fine with 2,500.
There's more on my list yet. The letters of specials, we currently charge $25 per parcel. So Bruce, if you're selling a home and you have a vacant lot next door, 2 parcels, that would be $50 that we would charge. Jody feels pretty comfortable on that, with calling just the 2 places. With O'Connell Falls, they charge $33 per parcel. Swamico charges also the $25 per parcel, and they charge, if somebody requests, it's a rush job, and they want a letter of specials that same day, they charge $50 per parcel.
Rush fee.
And I think we're in the ballpark, but Chris,
I
your
I would like to
opinion,
see the
your
rush
realtor?
fee instituted.
Added in, yeah.
I've never really had anybody.
Well, we haven't had, and they've been kind of
I'm not saying
really
it couldn't
bully about
happen,
it.
I'm just saying I don't really.
If you put it, if you put it in there, it's in there, and
Yeah, that's true. You can put it in there,
Mhm.
if it happens, it happens, but.
$50 same
That's
day
it.
rush
Mhm.
request. And then copies, that remains at 25 cents a page. I know Lisa and I talked about that, and that's pretty standard where you can't charge any more than 25 cents per page. We've always had that, but just to have it on the books again.
I want to just interject if you don't mind with this. Electronic is the way we're going today, and we can charge for the cost of doing business, what it costs us to do this. This just came up today with an open records request again. They're requesting an electronic copy, and I think it's unfair for us to not get anything for that electronic copy when I have somebody that's tied up for 2 and 3 and 4 hours trying to get this open records request. We're not here to make money, but again, we're not here to lose money either. And if you're gonna do an open records request, and we figure out that it costs, let's just hypothetically throw at $30 an hour for a person's time and wage and benefits in it, we have to figure out a flat rate fee for that if they're gonna do it. And I think that this is something that has to be addressed because we're losing a ton of money with electronic copies.
Why does it take so long, Mark?
Well, let's just explain this, Roger. If you tell me I want an open records request,
Yeah.
I have to extract the data, okay, to look and see how many of, let's just say hypothetically, you want to know, because you're the owner of 430 Nancy Lane, I'm just going to throw that
Yeah.
number at you. You want to know how many calls I was at number 50, 100, whatever you might throw at me.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at that unit number. Let's just say that hypothetically, this occurs, we get 250 calls there in the last 2 years. And they want a copy of all my reports. That's 250 individual calls that gotta be pulled up. It's gotta be downloaded into a PDF file and it's gotta be shipped over. That doesn't happen by the stroke of a pen. This requires me to take and save it into a folder, and then we have to put it together because we can't send all of them at one time. Either we're gonna charge for putting it onto a flash drive, or if we're gonna electronically ship it like we're going to, we're gonna 50 at a time. There's a cost to doing business here, and we're losing money, and we're losing a lot of it on these open records requests electronically. So I don't wanna just brush over that because that is a huge amount of money. And what are we doing today on our accident reports? Every single one of them I'm shipping out electronically. I do not mail reports anymore. They're gonna get emailed. And insurance companies are willing to pay. It's just, we have to have a fee schedule. If I don't have a fee schedule, I cannot charge them out for.
So you're thinking
this.
hourly rate?
Well,
that would cover-
you cannot make money on it per
Right.
statute, but we have to.
The Attorney General's office, which is kind of the overseer of all this stuff, they recently came out with I don't even want to say it's suggested, they just published a list of, saying, for example, because they're doing the same thing, they get, records requests and those kinds of things all the time. They came out with a suggested fee schedule, so they charge for the, and I apologize, I didn't look this up again, but I've got a copy of it. The water utility in Green Bay just adopted it as their schedule. But they charge so much if you're going to download it onto a DVD. They charge like $15 for a DVD. If it's going to go on a thumb drive, it's like $30 or something like
That
that.
was my next question.
Yeah, and then, and plus the time and effort that goes into it. So again, the bottom line is that this should be designed to recover your costs.
And just, when we get into like electronic files, shipping them, you get into video files, footage for my in-car cameras and my body cam footage. We are talking, 128 gig minimum of download is minimum a little bit, and then you're only talking a few minutes of actual video footage there. We're talking some serious money that we're looking at. I'm trying to recover. I want to make sure that we recover, at least break even is all I care about, because I think that right now we're.
You have a number in mind as far as?
Yeah, we gotta lean on
I
you
came it
for
all the way
that.
down to like 30-some cents a minute as we were trying to figure out, and what we were figuring it out, because we gotta figure out a wage into this, and I think that you can recover benefit package to it, I believe that we can just do it for free, but we have to come up with a number, and I think a flat rate is better than anything to work with.
So Mark, you says the insurance companies aren't reluctant to pay this fee. Who would be reluctant? Individuals?
Well, if Roger, here's where it's gonna come into play. If you get somebody that all of a sudden is just doing these open record requests out of the blue, like, hey, I wanna have body cam footage of such and such a date to such and such a
Yeah.
time, and they request these open records requests, and it's just bizarre things that they're requesting, that could run into the thousands of dollars worth of man hours.
And you're required to give that to them?
Oh,
Yes.
open records
Yeah.
requests, I have to honor those. And what I'm saying to you is, if we're doing it, and here's my other concern, and I'll throw this at you just so you get this, and I don't want to prolong this meeting, by God, because it's long enough already. But here's the other thing that,
Doing a good job.
no, but here's another consideration for you guys, is what happens if they bring in a DVD or let's just thumb drive, USB drive. I do not want theirs because I don't know what kind of corrupted data is on
yeah.
it.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
So I'm gonna provide them with mine, and if you buy them thumb drives, they're not cheap.
No,
Especially 128s.
Mhm.
So are we gonna discuss this at a cow meeting or something?
I don't know,
Let's
this
say
is-
that.
I
I get the
Yeah.
feeling that this is not the meeting to
Yeah.
make any kind of a vote on this
I need
kind
to
of
come
thing,
up with
because we need more information, I
Yeah.
think, on what's reasonable, because I know that, this is a big deal, I think, from Bill's standpoint, and
I give you an example, again, following this Attorney General's office, the DOJ recommendation, their fee list. I just finished one about 3 weeks ago for HUD, Housing and Urban Development, requested a significant amount. They wanted all of the account information for all of the utilities water customers.
Oh, Jesus.
Plus, and this related to the lead testing, they wanted all the test results for the last 5 years. And they test like 300 properties a year. And, you know, I mean, each test result was if you printed it out, it'd be about 40 pages of stuff. And they wanted that, there were probably about 800 of those test results that were turned over.
Can we get that today?
Yeah,
What's the
well,
rush fee on that one?
they gave us 3 weeks to do it. But we shipped it out to them in I believe there were 10 or 12 thumb drives.
Well, I think Mark can give us some suggestions, get some numbers, and
Yeah.
let's, yeah.
So far now, I know that municipal court with that trial that's going to Brown County Circuit Court, our Joanne, she had a copy with the thumb drive for me, and I charged them $25 for that. That wasn't including the time, because I just took, when I bought those thumb drives, that was, like, the cost of it was $25. And then with DVDs, I know Elise has a lot of those that she copies also. There were a couple of those that I had, that the meetings were burned on a DVD, and those I charged $5 for with the DVD.
It's
I didn't
not
have to
unrealistic
charge
for
it.
my reports to be
I
in
don't
the
know.
hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
So yeah, add it, whatever cost you have, add it in there, and we'll come up with a number or whatever you suggest, and
So this will be further reviewed at the next
I think so.
committee meeting?
Yep.
But I think
Is that all
we
the
can
same
agree
issue?
with these other items up above.
The annexation fee? Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
Yes.
yeah.
And the letters of specials to remain at 25
Mhm.
per parcel, and then the $50 same-day rush,
Right.
Yep.
okay,
Okay.
per parcel. And the copies, that's 25 cents a page. And then the electronic fees are what needs further discussion.
Right.
Well, thanks, Mark, for interjecting that. That's,
Well, it's a big
We never
loss.
were aware of that.
It's a loss to our department. That's all it is.
yeah.
Well, it's like too, when we get the big requests, we have had some that took a lot of time, and what do we cost, and what should we charge? And Attorney Vandecastle has helped with that, because we've had some crazy requests in the past too, we have had.
Maybe
Read
this
out
will
like-
deter some crazy requests just for
Yeah,
the heck
right.
of it.
I'd like to make a motion to close the open public hearing.
Thank you, Roger.
I'll second.
Bruce, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 16, approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of March 4th, 2019, and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
By Gordy,
Second.
second by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 17, persons desiring to be heard. Persons desiring to be heard.
Did we pass or what? Did you vote or?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
It's-
yet. It's coming. Number 20.
You picked a good meeting.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you might have when I was outside.
39, persons desiring to be heard. 18, committee reports, room tax commission of March 7th.
Okay, had a quick meeting, basically discussion on some budget monies for Polka Days. So basically, we granted them $4,500 for added newspaper, print ads, radio, advertising, brochures. They'll have to give us the invoices to confirm that. So that'll help out Polka Days. Some other things, we still want to talk with the Green Bay Convention Bureau on some of the things that we're getting charged for, to make sure we understand what we're getting charged for. And then maybe looking at some support for the music in the park that Reed suggested. So we'll be looking at those items in the future.
Thank you. Labor negotiations, March 12th, 2019, was a closed session. Interviews for the building inspector, zoning administrator positions. You'll be voting on that later. Labor negotiations is of March 14th. Closed discussion. Discuss the building inspector, zoning administrator positions, and review candidates and compensation. You'll be voting on that in closed session later. The economic ad hoc committee of March 19th, 2019. Chris?
Yeah, that was I'm gonna make this brief, cause you can read the bullet points here, but, we had, Paul Belchner from Base Companies, and he spoke a lot about economic development, but primarily I wanted him to, talk about the T2 accelerator, just because it's such a great design in Green Bay, and you can, it's a up-and-coming co-working space that could easily be fit into Pulaski as well. But he did talk quite a bit about what he's involved in with Advance and his business, and the railway in Green Bay. It's awesome to have him there. So anyway, so that was most of the meeting, and our next meeting is on Tuesday, April 16th, 7:30 a.m. at Premier Community Bank.
Thank you. Committee of Whole of March 25th, 2019. A, consider approval of effluent pump sewer plant as per Joel Van Lennon. Joel?
Once again, this is for the soft starts for 2 effluent pumps that we have at our wastewater treatment plant. We set aside when we collect our sewer and water bills, some of that money goes towards replacement and repair of equipment. So that money is in there to do this project. He did tell me $41,000 to $42,000.
Do we have to vote on that? I think. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Doug,
I'll second that. Oh, go ahead.
second by Roger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Number B, to consider to allow Joel Van Lennon to hire seasonal help for the public works and utilities.
This year we're looking for 3 individuals, well, 3 total. One from last year is coming back, so we're looking for 2 additional seasonal helpers.
I'll make the motion.
By Gordy,
I'll second.
by Bob Gajewski, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Planning and Zoning Commission of March 27th, 2019, informational only site plan and design review for the new Fox Communities Credit Union branch. Will be on parcel VP-PI 86-2, property owners Fox Communities Credit Union. 3401 East Calumet Street, Appleton, Wisconsin, 54915. The applicant is Steve Grice of 500 North Commercial Street, Neenah, Wisconsin. He is the architect. Next is the Parks Use Ad Hoc Committee of April 3rd, 2019.
We've got a few things that maybe we need to discuss at the committee of the whole. Reds are asking if we can help out with a lift, the cost of a lift to change some lights out, possibly some ballast too. They're tight on money due to the batting cage improvements that they've promised monies for. So I think push that off, or is it something that...
We've always paid for that lift to do that in the past, so that's nothing.
We can find it in budget.
Okay.
The baseball and softball organizations are having a spring cleanup day, Sunday, April 28th at 8 a.m. They've got it out on their websites, and they're hoping that a lot of the parents volunteer, come out and clean up. Looking pretty dry. I took a walk through the park today. Got shoes a little bit wet, but boy, it is drying out nice. We'll see what happens if we get the snow in a few days here.
What time is that scheduled for, Doug?
8 a.m. and then they usually work until noon, 1 o'clock.
That's when we have our canine at Community Park,
Yeah,
same time.
the fun run. Yep.
Is this on a Sunday? They're usually
It's
doing
a
a
Sunday.
Saturday.
We used to do Saturdays, we went to
No, but
Sunday.
the cleanup, the park cleanup was
They
usually on
usually
Saturday.
did it, well, last year it was a Sunday.
Was
though,
it?
wasn't
Okay.
I thought it was.
Okay.
High school has their softball
tournament the day
Oh,
before.
Okay.
Yeah. Polka Days Committee wants to raise funds to replace their main food shelter that they use. I shouldn't say our food, our shelter that they sell the food from. They asked that maybe we do a little digging, can we, being that we don't necessarily own this property, tear down a building, add a building. So that was kind of a little bit of gray area. Any chance of doing research or?
I did that. I got rid of those papers. I had probably about that thick. I worked with trustee Chris Smith
Okay.
on that.
Dead end? No information?
There's one of those buildings, it's like when Joe Wojciechowski was living and he brought those We Energy bills into the village. We talked about that at Board of Review too, where Mike Diener looked into that. There is a portion of that's with the Franciscans yet. When we had
Well,
swamps.
if you look at the aerial map, it's in a different color.
Yeah,
The swamps building,
Yeah.
and then we kept the bathrooms there.
Right.
And then when the tornado, the tree fell on top of the bathrooms, the village, we carry the insurance, the village collected money for that building.
right.
If an accident falls
I'll
over.
just interject this real quick, Doug. They have that KC building there, and they run music in that building. They should actually eliminate that, because I don't think truthfully, I don't think that's profitable for them to run music in there. Convert that to serving food. It's
got a
roof,
kitchen.
got a kitchen,
It's
and
enclosed.
I think that would accommodate them, right? Just
Right, but they were looking at the possibility of bringing all of their stands into one, kind of increasing the footprint of that one building, enclosing a few things to make it a little bit easier, and they don't want to get dripped on as it's raining either, and electrical issues that we've had in the past and all. We've been kind of putting Band-Aids everywhere.
How much were they willing to, would they fund some?
So what they're asking, they have an idea of what the layout and the size of this building would need to accommodate all of those wishes. And it's like 4 different, and it's in your packet, 4 different functions that'll be brought into this one building. They'd like to have the school, before the school lets out, in their CAT classes, design what this building would look like, and then ask for donations towards raising all the funds, most of the funds, whatever they could do. But
So it would be an open concept.
so we had that discussion too. Their idea was that it would be all open, but at the same time with the food service, certain things need to be by standards closed off, and right kind of materials for the sake of food
This way,
safety.
The town of Chase is nice with their community park, with their
With the stone barn
facilities that they have.
facilities.
And
Yeah,
then
but there's a separate
bathrooms in
building
there.
for
Yes.
Yeah.
food and bathrooms.
So this building potentially could be used for other functions.
Exactly, and they were hoping that we would adopt that idea that, okay, if we had this space, it'd be more marketable for the community and get more use out of it.
Well, I think we should discuss
You need
this.
2 facilities within 200 feet of each other?
Right. Would we have 2 organizations or
Does that
2
make sense?
families wanting to share the park in that?
I think we should discuss this at a later date. Thank you for bringing
Committee
it
of
up.
the whole?
Yeah.
But, yeah, because this will be carried, we will be carrying on too long.
Right.
And, you gotta tell Polka Days Committee that, Mr. Joel Van Lannen here has depleted sheds there that needs fixing too.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
we can't give them everything.
Right.
But
So at a committee of the whole, maybe we can look at this and say, or kind of run it at a time before the end of the school year, but they were hoping to maybe have some drawings that they could market to their Polka Days crowd.
And
These
some-
folks that come in from out of town,
I see.
willing to open their wallets and throw a little more money at a facility that would maybe meet their needs a little better.
Well, they could go forward with that, though.
that part, yeah.
I told them they kind of wanted, or they probably want to say we'd be okay with that. I didn't want to give away the farm,
Yeah.
because then I got to buy it back.
Maybe I'm confused on that. To have them do that, that would be a project in the school, and we've
Yeah.
used it for the Field of Dreams on numerous occasions that there would be credit given for the students to do this. This is a real-time project.
How cool.
And I would say, we all know it's in need of repair, okay?
35 years ago.
35 years ago.
I
Okay.
don't even know how old those buildings are.
But
They gotta
the
be.
fact of the matter,
They were there all there when I got here.
Yeah.
I would think if they
They
can
were
find
old
the
then.
time
Yes.
in the tech ed class to do that,
Yeah.
that would be a contact with John Pitson and say, John, could you guys do this? And he's gonna tell them either yay or nay.
Yea or nay, maybe fall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were hoping for our blessing before they proceeded with bringing this project, because they've got, here's the dimensions, here's a couple walls, and make it shine so we can sell it.
Well, that ain't gonna happen right now.
Under parks, we have a VFW Legion is willing to provide a solar machine at Memorial Park Shelter, north side. They will also, VFW Legion, do the maintenance and supplies. The village would be responsible for the electricity. And in the winter months, the solar machine will be locked inside of the Memorial Park Shelter.
We reached out to the Krieger family. They're okay with, don't think that's gaudy or anything, to have a 7-Up machine there. The estimated cost of electricity for the year, about $110 for the whole summer months that it would be used. When we winterize for the winter, they come, unplug it, take all the product out, stick it in, and everything gets locked up, so.
Do we put in a receptacle for them, or is there one there, or?
We would have to put one in.
You would have to put one in,
We do not have power on the outside, and there's a couple ideas of where we could drop that.
but that's good.
I had talked to Paul earlier today, and because I wasn't at the meeting on Wednesday, but he said they have a machine like this at Superons, and basically everybody, you can donate the soda towards it too, and so he said it works out really good for him.
Oh, great.
And if that's the case, it's all profit,
Pretty much, yeah.
except for the $110 of electricity cost that we see ours up.
A concern I would have would be security of the machine.
Yeah, so we do have several cameras, and we would place it accordingly so that hopefully they see that camera, and if they happen to look, we know who it is, and we can, put any graffiti or.
Your thoughts, Mark?
We
But
did,
we don't have
We
liability
haven't had a
for
lot of
that.
problem with, since we put the cameras up, we haven't had a lot
Not
of
a problem.
issues.
and we did discuss that with the soda vendor, and they're maintaining all responsibility for if anything were to happen to that machine.
Fair enough. Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Have a motion.
I have a motion
So moved.
by Roger,
I'll second.
by Bruce, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Bid opening April 4th, 2019 at 10:30 a.m. Contract 295-19-2, 2019. Utility and street construction, East Green Bay Street and Carch Drive, LRIP. Yes, Paul?
Me.
Paul Jr.
Wait, thanks. We had 5 bidders for the project. Advanced Construction was low bidder at $1,460,488.50. It includes the reconstruction of Green Bay Street from St. Augustine to Wisconsin, and then the resurfacing of Carch from 32 to East Glenbrook. Both projects have state funding on them. Both $350